Ηλία, άμα μπορείς να κάνεις μια ερώτηση για τη χροπή, επειδή μας ενδιαφέρει η συγκεκριμένη εταιρεία, αν μπορείς και βγαίνει.
Ωραία, θα το κάνουμε, εντάξει.
Πες, ας πούμε, ότι είναι ένα από το πιο μεγάλο project ή όλα.
So we are back. I think this is the last session of our summit before, of course, the address of the Minister of Development. The session is about, the startup ecosystem and how we can advance such a system here in Greece. The last years, we are observing significant growth of startup companies here in our country, and that started with the financial crisis in the beginning of last decade. In their efforts to grow and successfully penetrate the business competition, startups need support, whether that means funding or advice on how to better organize and position themselves in the market. For the next half an hour, we'll discuss the possibility to develop an effective startup ecosystem that can attract investors for funding and produce innovation and successful new products and services with the Deputy Minister for Research and Technology, Mr. Christos Dimas. Thank you for being with us, Mr. Dimas. And the Managing Director and Co-Head EMEA, Mr. Seena Amidi from the well-known Plug and Play in California. So, gentlemen, thank you for being with us. I have prepared a set of questions, which I hope they will help to ignite an interesting conversation here. Let's try to be short in our replies in order to have more questions. So I will start with you, Mr. Dimas. And first question, Elevate Greece quickly evolved in something bigger than a simple registry of startups. Is the even greater extroversion of Greek startups also its primary goal? What is the possible evolution of it? Gentlemen, please, can you, please, excuse me. Sorry.
First of all, I would like to thank all of the organizers and especially the Hellenic American Chamber of Commerce, which is a big supporter of research and innovation of the innovation ecosystem in Greece. Elevate Greece started because we didn't know how many startups we had, in which sector they were, how many people they employed, what budgets they have, and when you don't have data, it's difficult to implement policies that will have a greater impact. So we wanted to map the innovation ecosystem in Greece. We did achieve that, but we wanted to do, as you said, something more dynamic, something more useful for the innovation ecosystem. So we did create a set of policies, public policy tools for the innovation ecosystem, including the legislation for the first time of financial incentives for angel investors, for stock options, for increased equity during the pandemic crisis, which was much needed in the innovation ecosystem. But apart from public policy tools, it's extremely important to see how we can attract the private sector in the innovation ecosystem, or even institutional actors like the Hellenic American Chamber of Commerce. And we're very proud to say that all of the Greek banks, for example, became official partners of Elevate Greece by providing specified banking products for the startups of Elevate Greece. Multinational companies provide access to global innovation centers they have, or to free cloud services, to mentoring services. Institutional actors, as I said, like the Hellenic American Chamber of Commerce, do provide a wide network of companies and expertise that they have that can be useful for the innovation ecosystem. So it has already evolved in the 2 years that is operating to something much larger than a startup registry. And our main goal is to see how we can increase the extroversity of the Greek innovation ecosystem. That's why we want to see how we can plug and play with other important actors of the global ecosystem, try to see how we can build bridges with other ecosystems, and Elevate Greece will be transformed into a company working under the public sector but with private sector economic criteria, aiming to see how we can increase this much needed extroversity of the ecosystem.
Well, thank you very much. It seems that you have a plan here, and hopefully it will be materialized soon. Mr. Amidi, PMB, plug and play, catalyzes technological advancement by connecting blue chip corporations with the brightest startups across the globe. Can you share with us the way you're building the world's leading innovation platform?
So we truly believe that a startup is an entrepreneur is someone who jumps over hurdles, that their goal is to get over every hurdle in front of them, and they will persevere. So what we do is we try to make those hurdles as easy as possible, or to lower them as much as we can. So currently, our goal is to expand across the globe, and to make the startup's journey a little bit easier when it comes to business development. So what we do is we find startups and entrepreneurs who need our help, who will be part of our portfolio, who could be helpful for our corporate partners or government partners around the world, and we help facilitate these introductions. Because anything we can do to save 30 minutes, to save a day in the startup's life, is something that will help them grow and help them become a unicorn in the future.
Thank you. Mr. Dimas, one of the requests consistently in the recent years is the strengthening of the cooperation, the scientific and business sectors in matters of research and innovation. But this presupposes a central strategy that goes beyond the quick and maximum absorption of community funds. What is the government's plan for research results to bring practical commercial benefit to the real economy?
Okay. One of the strategic goals of this government has been to link research and innovation much more effectively with entrepreneurship. So we have been promoting important actions, for example, for the creation of innovation clusters, for the creation of competence centers. We have the creation of technology transfer offices within our institutions, academic institutions, research centers, and universities. We did change our law, the framework law, regarding the operation of spin-off companies, simplifying importantly the procedure to enabling talented researchers and academics to create their own companies. We are also promoting an important action making use of the community money called Research Innovate of 300 million, which tries to link academic research with entrepreneurship and innovation. But at the same time, we have also given important financial incentives, tax incentives to companies that invest in R&D. For example, we increased the tax super deduction rates from 100 for expenses in research and development from 130% to 200%, therefore having the most competitive framework in the European Union in this sector, and having attracted important companies in R&D in the last 2.5 years. So one of our goals was to increase R&D expenditure in the country. And we're very proud to say that in the last year, we did see the largest increase in R&D expenditure that the country has ever seen. But still, we are very eager to have a larger year-over-year increase in order to reach the 3% of the GDP in terms of expenses in R&D. So we are very, very eager and determined to continue towards that direction, because we truly believe that Greece has all of the necessary ingredients in order to become the main center of research and innovation in the Balkans and Southeastern Europe.
Thank you. Speaking about this, what's the latest with the Kropi project, by the way?
One of our flagship projects is the creation of an innovation district in Attica. An innovation district is a physical ground where you have startups, spin-offs, companies that invest in R&D, universities, research centers, and you try to cultivate the conditions in order to create the necessary synergies that will flourish research and innovation. We recently do have an international public bid on air in the following months In the first 3 months of 2023, we hope to have the final bidder. It's the main project of research and innovation in Greece at the moment, and we are very confident that we will attract important international players in order to establish an innovation district in Greece, which will attract talented individuals and scientists not only from Greece, but from the wider European region.
Thank you. Mr. Amidi, you work as a bridge between Silicon Valley and 35 plus locations around the world, making innovation open to anyone, anywhere. EMEA is a booming hub of innovation with startups across every industry and redefining a new normal. As Greece sees, as you heard from the Deputy Minister, growing interest from investors in various sectors of the economy, would you say that there is also a growing interest in its startup ecosystem?
Sorry, I missed that.
I said as Greece sees growing interest from investors in various sectors of the economy, would you say that there is also a growing interest in the startup ecosystem?
So we fully believe in ecosystem building, and having a platform with all players involved in one physical location will really help fester the entrepreneurial journey and the journey of their growth. So it's an amazing initiative, and we hope to be part of it. For the startup ecosystem at large, right now, because of the current climate in startups, we've actually seen a little bit of a downturn when it comes to investing in startups. That downturn, in my opinion, is not a bad thing, because investing in startups that are not going to be successful or do not have the criteria that's required to be successful creates a lot of noise for the true entrepreneurs, for the successful entrepreneurs to succeed. So right now the climate is a little bit more difficult for entrepreneurs, since money is a little bit tighter and people are a little bit more careful, but there is always opportunity for startups to grow, and a good entrepreneur will get over these hurdles and find a way to succeed. And I think in Greece, we have plenty of entrepreneurs. The entrepreneurs need to be taught to look at tech and not to be fashion or design entrepreneurs only, but to be at least fluent in the journey required for a tech entrepreneur.
Thank you. You've been in town and you have several meetings the last 2 days. So is Plug and Play interested in building an inclusive ecosystem to foster the collaboration and exchange of experiences among corporations, startups, and institutions here in Greece?
100%. Of course. In the last year, we've expanded to many new offices. In EMEA, we have 29 offices currently. Each culture, each location has a lot to offer. The people in Greece are incredibly educated and need to be taught how to succeed. They need to be taught that there is a possibility in success. And there is a possibility, of course, but opening the eyes of that is incredibly important. In the last few days that we've been here, we've been exploring. We've been trying to understand the capacity, the willingness of both the corporations, the government, and the entrepreneurs to see if there's interest, if they would want to join the community that we've created. And we've been invited with open arms. We feel incredibly welcomed, and we've seen an incredible change in the last few years in the Greek ecosystem. This, because we explored it a few years ago, wasn't the case. And the world is changing, but we're seeing a much, much quicker change in Greece. And hopefully we'll see more and more entrepreneurs succeed in the Greek ecosystem. Thank you.
Deputy Minister Dimas, you recently visited San Francisco, if I'm not mistaken, with Minister Fagogiannis as well, and 7 companies also with you. And you had several meetings with institutional investors, but also you had, the opportunity to visit the Plug and Play there and some companies as well. What's your impression from this trip? And have you identified any best practice that we can bring to the country here?
One of the best practices actually is bringing plug and play to Greece, but we were very happy that we were hosted in plug and play in California. Yes, it's an amazing place to be in. It's actually a very vibrant place. Silicon Valley is a vibrant place because you see very competitive ideas, very smart individuals, but people teaming up and creating synergies in the innovation ecosystem. So the reason that we did plan the trip to California was because we wanted to increase the extroversity of the Greek ecosystem. That's why it was not only G2G meetings or even G2B meetings. We actually had 6 startups with us. They had the opportunity to pitch to some of the VC funds, to make some necessary contacts with some other companies, but at the same time, the government was very much interested to see some other best practices, like Swiss Next, for example. Those are actually important infrastructure that countries have actually created in the Bay Area in order to enable and promote startups from their countries or other companies from their countries to build the necessary bridges with the innovation ecosystem in the US. So we did get a lot of feedback. We are trying to do our homework very carefully in order to not only study best practices but actually apply them, so we can multiply the positive effects of the Greek economy and of the Greek innovation ecosystem, and as I said, with a lot of extroversity, because you cannot have a startup ecosystem that is only based at a national level. Startups by definition have to be competitive at an international stage.
Exactly. Do you think Minister Dimas, do you think that the investments from technological giants that have already started in Greece, like Microsoft, Pfizer, Cisco, Deloitte, Amazon, Google, mean a vote of confidence for your policy as a government? And why would a large technological multinational choose our country today?
Okay,
Sorry, can I add also something? Because also this kind of companies, they are looking also to the startup community, because at the end, they want to have, let's say, an ecosystem. So,
okay, when I was a child, one of my dreams was actually to time travel, going back to the ancient times.
Wow.
One of the periods I wouldn't want to visit though would be 2015. And I'm saying that actually to show the change of policy in the country in the last year. So we were in a very deep financial crisis. As a result, we had a lot of brain drain, people leaving the country because they were unable of finding a decent job within Greece. So when we did become government in 2019, one of the main priorities we had set was to repatriate some of the people that left the country during the financial crisis. In order to repatriate them, you had to create good job opportunities. So we had to very quickly to create a much friendlier business environment, and we're very happy that the Economist Intelligence Unit did actually rate Greece by far the #1 country with the largest improvement in the business environment in the last year. And we're very proud that we do have a very important record of investment year by year since 2019. But in order to do that, we did promote some important reforms in the country. So attracting companies like Pfizer, Cisco, Google, Microsoft, Amazon Web Services, Applied Materials, companies that would create good job opportunities was a priority. We're very happy that we have attracted them, but allow me to say that we don't only want talented Greek individuals to become employees of multinational companies. I used to work for a multinational company, and I was very proud of it, but we also want to unleash the talent that they have, and that's why cultivating a strong innovation ecosystem is such an important strategic priority for the government. And these two together fit in very well. So you do create an environment that helps the innovation ecosystem flourish. You have improved significantly the business environment, attracting important investments, FDI, but also Greek companies that further invest, especially in R&D. And this creates more and more job opportunities. And that's why in the last year, we're proud to say that we have created more than 260,000 new job opportunities. And indeed, we have seen some Greeks coming back to the country.
Thank you. Mr. Amidi, how can a Greek plug-and-play chapter connect the most innovative startups with the leading corporations in Greece and shape the future of Internet of Things, smart manufacturing, energy, logistics, biotech, and beyond? And by the way, continuing this question, plug-and-play covers a wide, let's say, a variety of fields, right? I mean, from agro to energy to... so can you elaborate on this, please?
Of course. So the entrepreneur in Greece right now is valued at a lower rate than an entrepreneur in California. And there is no reason for that. So the first thing we have to do is to educate the entrepreneurs here in what they're worth as international startups. So by connecting the entrepreneurs here with the international startup community, you already increase the mindset, allowing for the valuation of the startups to go up. And that is incredibly important because there is no difference in the quality of a startup in Greece versus the quality of a startup in California. That is purely mindset. So that's something that we need to do. We can do that by making it attractive for startups from outside to come to Greece. We have, or here there are some of the biggest corporations of the world. They have amazing innovation capabilities, and if we make startups from outside of Greece have a soft landing to come to Greece, then the local startups will see peers and grow their levels to their peers. We can also use the offices that Plug and Play has in California from around the world to make it easier for an entrepreneur to join a community when they move to another location. It's important for an entrepreneur to move to another location, to learn what they can, and to keep the culture from home. Because culture is the most important part of a company. It's the most important part of a startup. They don't always have products. They don't always have money. And what do they have? It's the drive and the emotions of the actual company. So we can help them learn from Japan. We can help them learn from California. We can help them learn from Munich. And they can bring that knowledge back to Greece and to grow the team here. Because their DNA is what allows them to grow. And if we can create that bridge between multiple locations, then we can help the ecosystem here grow quicker just by creating a quicker connection.
You've been in other countries in Europe as a Plug and Play. How can governments be a catalyst in Plug and Play global presence? Can you share some best practice from other countries, especially in Europe?
100%. So Stuttgart is an office that we have in Germany where we work with mobility. In Stuttgart, we work for corporations and 100% for corporations. We have created an ecosystem of all the big players, of the Daimlers, the Porsches, the Bosches, and we have them work together. Now, that is great, and the work we're doing for them is good, but I would love to get the universities more involved, to get the students of these schools, of the Stuttgart University, of universities in Munich and Frankfurt, involved in the work we do for mobility. Mobility is an interesting sector, which students always have an interest in. And if I could get government help in order to get them involved in every event, in our launches, in the work we're doing, then I can teach the students another avenue. Instead of joining a Fortune 500 corporation, instead of joining a multinational, take 2 years and risk everything and start a company. Now, I said that as if only a 22-year-old can be an entrepreneur. Nowadays, we're seeing more and more people from inside corporations start companies, and those are better investments. They have a higher chance of success. They know the market. They know the risks they're taking, because normally someone who has a family doesn't take a risk without knowing why. So we would love to teach not just the students, but the people of Greece that it's an option or an opportunity to take a year or two and to take a risk. And that risk will give you a reward with or without success of the startup, because you become more valuable for the international company you work for afterwards.
Can I add something to that?
Go ahead, yeah, please.
Because this is something that has to do with mentality, and I really agree on that. Because up until recently, we did have the mentality in Greece that if you fail in your first entrepreneurial attempt, that you have failed utterly, and this is actually wrong. And I completely agree with your statement that you learn even through your failure, and it makes you much better as an entrepreneur, as a manager. So in other countries, they even have sayings that you need to fail in your first attempt in order to become a successful entrepreneur. This is something that in Greece we are we are attempting to change this mentality. It is extremely important, and it does start at the house level from families in Greece, but the role of education, school and university is extremely important also.
Mr. Amidi, let me ask you a question here. I mean, in the US, of course, the system is different than EU, right? Here we are in Europe. In Europe, we are relying more on subsidies, let's say, from the European funds, rather than in the US, where you're relying on the private investors, right? So, on that part, what do you think plug and play can, let's say, introduce here? I mean,
so the money that a government helps a startup with is incredibly important, and it definitely de-risks, especially the more seasoned person, take the jump into entrepreneurship. What's really important is to make sure that that funding goes to the right person, that it doesn't become a grant hunting expedition. And there are startups that go from one government to another, from one Y Combinator to Plug and Play, and they take a PowerPoint and they tour the world. And that is something we need to avoid, and we need to make sure that every single grant, that every single gift the government gives an entrepreneur is done so with an investor's eye in mind. It is always a risk, of course, but it is not just to help the economy. It is not just a handout. It is for a successful entrepreneur's journey, and with it, they succeed faster. Without it, they still succeed, but in a longer period of time.
well, thank you very much. Minister Dimas, I think right now we are on the way, let's say the road for the growth of startup community with no return. I mean, we have a vision here. What is your biggest fear here for the next years to come? Do you think there might be some impediments in this road? And what are you afraid? I mean, are there any fears you have that this might not work the way that you're visioning it?
You always have fears, but I have to say I'm rather optimistic. And as I said, the main goal is to unleash the talent that the Greek people have, change the mentality, change the spirit, and make all Greeks believe that they are capable of being competitive at a global scale, whether they are in Athens, in Thessaloniki, in Corinth, or in Crete, at a global stage. So I cannot identify a fear to be honest, what I can see is that we do have all of the potential to truly become a leader in research and innovation in Southeastern Europe.
That was a trap question, by the way. Anyway, the control here tells us that we need to conclude. Gentlemen, thank you very much, for being with us. I think we had a very interesting conversation, and we look forward, to collaborate all of us, because this is a main, I think, goal, for Greece. So thank you again, and so that's all. And I think the minister is coming next.
Yes. Do you mind taking a picture together?
Sure, of course.